Plain and simple, you should be looking into the ATAK from Borla if you're after one of the more aggressive systems available for your Coyote-powered S197, and you don't mind throwing down a decent chunk of change to get all of that sound from a premium brand or system like Borla. Now, prospective buyers can look forward to 304 grade stainless steel throughout here, including the sound shaping X-pipe, all for just south of the $1,600 price tag. The bolt-on, no modification install will get a simple 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter from me, and we will have more on that later on in the video. Now, for those who don't know, ATAK stands for Acoustically Tuned Applied Kinetics, and it's Borla's patented tech that basically allows for plenty of volume, but without any of the distortion that can sometimes dirty up the tone a little bit with an aggressive system like this. And as you guys heard with our sound clips, this thing certainly doesn't disappoint in the volume department. As I mentioned earlier, you're getting boatloads of both volume and tone here with the ATAK, and it's certainly going to be one of the most aggressive systems for your S197 GT. So, breaking out my tried and true Wake the Neighbor scale here, guys, I'm going full-blown 5 out of 5 here with the ATAK. And it was an easy one for me because this is Borla's most aggressive system and is easily on par with other heavy hitters in the category, such as your Corsa Extreme or even your Flowmaster Outlaw. Now, one thing that stood out to me about the ATAK is that below 4,000 or so RPM here, the system doesn't really blow you away. But once you get above that, the Borla really comes to life, and at that point, it starts screaming. I noticed a lot of popping and backfiring also with this system coming down off the revs, in between shifts, things like that, in addition to all of that volume, which is something I really enjoy. Hell, maybe you guys do as well. But moving inside the car, on the other hand, you do hear the system when hammering on it, but at the same time, the typical problem areas or drone areas didn't really produce anything worth mentioning. But moving on to the construction and materials here with the Borla, and again, nothing but the best, the cream of the crop. I mean, Borla, they've been doing this a long time, man, and it really does show with the quality of their build. This does include 304 grade stainless steel throughout, including the 2 3/4 inch mandrel bent tubing, the X-pipe of course, and the straight through ATAK series mufflers here, all exiting out the category leading 4.5 inch tips, which do a great job of filling out the voids in the rear bumper. Now, this probably goes without saying, but the Borla stuff doesn't exactly come cheap. In fact, far from it. Case in point here, guys, the ATAK Cat-Back for the S197 is going to hit you for just south of 1,600 bones, making this one of the more expensive systems in the category, along with the Corsa systems. But for the owners who really do appreciate that quality or craftsmanship here, it is a worthy investment. But switching gears, let's quickly talk about the install, and since you are looking at a 100% bolt-on job, expect a rather easy 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, and maybe an hour or 2 of your time depending on your setup and just how fast you like to work. Tool-wise, you're really looking at a basic socket set, maybe some spray lube to help you with some rusty bolts and rubber exhaust hangers, and then last but not least, you do need to get the car up in the air, whether it be a lift, jack and jack stands, or race ramps, whatever you have access to. Getting started, you'll obviously need to remove that factory system first. Now, this can be done by removing the clamps nearest the engine and the clamps closest to the muffler. You'll also need to remove the hanger securing those mufflers to the car. With the factory system out of the way, you can move those hangers over to the new Borla ATAK mufflers here and prep the rest of the system for the installation. I always recommend starting from front to back here, so get that X-pipe in place first, followed by the over-axle pipes. Now, at this point, you can get to work on installing the mufflers, getting them in place, of course, and securing them to the car with the hangers you removed from the factory mufflers, along with those bolts in the very first step. Now, move on to the clamps closest to the muffler, but don't fully tighten those things down quite yet, because you want to make sure you have these massive 4.5 inch tips positioned perfectly in the bumper openings. Now, once you have everything in place, go ahead and torque down all of your clamps and bolts, and your installation is complete. Wrapping things up here, guys, if you want one of the most aggressive systems from one of the most trusted names in the world of aftermarket exhaust, you'll have to check out the ATAK right here at AmericanMuscle.com.